impact-driven clothing manufacturing business, Design26. Not only is Design26 looking to revive the clothing industry, but it also aims to create employment, eliminate poverty, and restore dignity. Today, I'm looking forward to having an insightful conversation with her to discuss her journey, her business, as well as lessons or advice that she can share with other women in this space. I'm also looking to get insights into her thoughts or comments on female entrepreneurship, the future of business in South Africa, and women empowerment as a whole. So without further ado, let's cut to our conversation. It's an absolute pleasure to speak with you. So this podcast is all about hearing the voices of inspiring leading women in business. And I think it's so important to have this space so that we can have these important conversations with women like you, your thoughts, your advice that you can maybe share with other women, especially South African women in the space that we're in. So firstly, if I could ask you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, your background, your work experience.
So I'm Suraya Williams. I am 45 years old, gracefully, and I've got a lot of working experience, but the path that I ponder on is obviously in corporate. Before I even went into corporate, I worked temporary or during school breaks and after school at KFC. And that was basically for me to earn, my pocket money and to get by with things that I wanted that my parents couldn't buy. And my last position that I held was a personal assistant for an audit and accounting firm. And my late mom, she worked in one of the big clothing manufacturing industries or manufacturing plants, and in 1984 I can remember, or 1985, most of our manufacturing plants in Cape Town closed down because of the imports that infiltrated the industry, and she was then forced to work from home, doing CMT work. And as parents always tell us, they want us to pursue what they're doing, and I didn't see it at the time as a sustainable career move, and I just followed into corporate. And she then, at the age of 54, she contracted yellow jaundice, and within 3 weeks all her organs gave in, and she passed away sadly on my birthday, which is why the company is Design26. It's actually my birth date. And yeah, that is basically how I came into the clothing manufacturing industry.
Well, what a meaningful name to your business and a way to honor her. And that's so interesting how it all started. So can you explain a little bit more about your journey to where you are now in your business?
About my?
Your journey to where you are now in your business.
Okay, so like I just said, I've never worked in the clothing manufacturing industry before. I didn't have no tertiary education in designing, even though I did tertiary education for the field that I was working in. I started Design26 in 2013, obviously as a legacy to my late mom. And I had her 2 sewing machines, or inherited sewing machines, and a 500 Rand to open a business bank account. And with all of this, and what she wanted me to do, her passing away on my birthday, it felt like I was reincarnating a dream when I finished my first garment and saw that I was actually born with this gift, and not even having a background, like they would say in the manufacturing industry. And the first 2 years of running my business, I faced many challenges. Many doors were closed in my face, because the perception is somehow that if you come from varsity with your 3-year diploma in design, you are more seen than somebody who is entering the market, that can exactly make the same garment that a designer can make. you are, so to say, disregarded. And one of my big mistakes when I started my business is thinking that running a business and working in corporate is the same. It is not. And I obviously didn't have the knowledge on how to properly cost my garments. And in 2015, I attended a small business management course through the University of Stellenbosch. And that was where I, got all the information from, or experience on how to properly cost for your products, how to just run your business more professionally, marketing, advertising, presentation skills, and all of those. The second challenge that I had when I just started was more on having to compete with cheap imports, made it very difficult for my business to grow. And once again, building a fashion label or brand with no tertiary education in fashion and design made me feel invisible. I constantly felt like I had to prove myself, which it sometimes made me feel a bit despondent. But because of how and why I started, I refused to give up. And also, while I was at the University of Stellenbosch, they taught us that you need to focus on, when you're starting, focus on one product or one service, and from there you can grow into many products or services. And I then decided to focus more on providing custom-made matric dance and wedding dresses. And after dealing with girls in matric, providing them a service with custom-made dresses, I realized and discovered that so many social ills that restricted young women on the Cape Flats from pursuing their dreams. I then decided to start Design26 Foundation, which is in collaboration or operating as a hybrid model with Design26. Because so often when these young girls, when they finish matric, and some of them don't even get to finish matric, they don't have a skill, they don't have no work experience. I myself, when I finished matric, I did a 1-year secretarial diploma. I found it challenging to find work because everybody's looking for that 1-year or 2-year on the job working experience. And a lot of these girls, after they finish school, they don't have that. They don't have the financial background or income to go and even study further. For me, in the community that I'm operating and living, it is such a big problem. It is where all the social ills are growing and stemming from. It's unemployment. It is not being able to get a skill or find a purpose in the community. And with that, I started Design26 Foundation, and I researched, all the possible barriers that could stand in the way of these young girls that prevents them from reaching their dreams. And I try and accommodate all of that by providing them a sewing skills training for free. We try and pick them up from a central place and bringing them to our premises, taking them back again. And when COVID also started now, I started like an internship program where when they are finished with their sewing skills course, I try and bring them into the business Design26, where we manufacture small little items like tote bags being one of it, and we print on there and try and sell it so that they can become self-sustainable. And after I started Design26 Foundation, providing these women with the skill, my business suddenly received more attention because doing something that was benefiting the community. I was featured in many newspaper articles, and also on the SABC3 Expresso show as the Mandela Monday hero. And as bad as COVID has been for business and selling I think it also changed my whole perception on the direction on how I want or where I want to take the business to in the future.
Yes, because you described Design26 and the foundation as having the mission to not only revive the clothing industry, but also to create employment, restore dignity, and eliminate poverty. And what you're doing is phenomenal. It goes beyond just business. It's fulfilling in its own way, which is amazing. It's exactly why I wanted to speak to you. So you said you started this business in 2013 and you've had this phenomenal journey along the way. So I'm sure there's been a few lessons or bumps or challenges along the way, because the entrepreneurial route is never easy. So what lessons have you learned that you can share with other women?
Well, when you're starting, you know, you get advice from all sorts of people, and especially when you come from corporate, and it is in today's case where a lot of people have lost their jobs, they are going to starting their own business. For many people today, I have learned, you know, along the way to follow my heart and my instinct. If it feels right for you, pursue it, even if you fail along the way, as long as you continue to get up, to get dressed and to show up. That is my motto. It doesn't matter what is happening around you. And you just have to keep on going. It's your dream, and you know what that dream looks like. And you'll get people giving you advice, and some advice you have to take, but you have to decide which one is the one that you're going to go with, that's going to make that goal or dream become a reality. And not everybody wants to see you grow. Some are just in it for their own benefit and at your expense and gain. But that's also one thing. You need to constantly go and empower yourself with knowledge as an entrepreneur. You can't sit at home thinking that business is going to come to you. You constantly need to go and seek that knowledge on how to deal with people, how to see which people has actually got your best interest and your business, and don't follow money.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's your dream. You've got to trust your own intuition and gut when you're following that. So what would you say your biggest accomplishment has been?
My biggest accomplishment, definitely, if I had to say this 2 years ago, it wouldn't have been the same. But for me, it was to save my business through the pandemic. It was literally waking up every morning and thinking of ways on how am I going to save my business, you know, and to show resilience and fight with all the knowledge and adaptness to not close door. And it forced me to have a relook at my product offerings, and to be prepared for natural disasters like COVID-19. I think failure in business was to start my business with no real knowledge of the industry. Not knowing how to cost set me back 2 years, and working in corporate and running my own business is a completely different ball game.
Well, firstly, I do have to congratulate you for surviving through the pandemic. A lot of small businesses weren't able to, so I'm so happy you stayed resilient. And yeah, like you said, the only way you can truly learn is by applying yourself. So moving on to the bigger scheme of things, you've had such success in your business. So what advice would you have for women in your specific industry?
As women, you know, we are sometimes, what is the for a better word? I don't want to say gullible, but we so want to be accepted in a man's world, you know, because a lot of the industries are being dominated. But my first advice to women in any industry, not just in mine, is when you're starting your business, do it ethically. It might take you longer, but be honest and open about your expectations and your needs. And running a business, for me, I always make an example to the girls that I train, for them not to give up. I say, you know, running a business is like falling pregnant, and then having your baby. You will face many challenges through each trimester, but the success and beauty sometimes comes not months, but years later, when you birth the results of all your sacrifices. And we can so relate as women. And yes, and not all of us have had babies, but we've had family and friends having babies, and we've somehow gone through that journey with them throughout their pregnancy. And in the beginning, we all know it's exciting, and you know, you hear the news of your friend or family member or yourself being pregnant. But then challenges comes throughout that 9 months. You're not going to give up, you know, because you want to see what that baby looks like. And the same with any business is that when you're starting it, you know, you have these big dreams, and then throughout that journey, you face many challenges. But don't close the doors, you know. There's always another door, and there's always another opportunity. All you have to do is that you have to persevere, and you have to say to yourself, I want this.
And that's such amazing advice. You definitely always reap what you sow, even if it's years down the line. So it's so important for any business to be rooted in that authenticity, which I'm sure you're so proud of your success because of that. So my next question to you is, where do you see business in South Africa going in the future?
I think that, you know, business in South Africa can flourish. We have a lot of potential. But honestly, for me, in the manufacturing and where the challenges also comes in, I think that we need to start focusing on being able to produce our own raw materials. And government plays an important role in this, you know, draconian laws. We've heard the president speaking the other day, evening, about red tape and corruption. And that needs to be drastically tackled and eliminated. Load shedding, especially for manufacturing industry. We are dependent on electricity to produce for demand. And we have our petrol prices going up again. I think it was yesterday, or it's going up sometime during this month. Those are things that's going to kill businesses, especially small businesses like mine, because it puts enormous strain on us to compete against imports, and changing mindset also, you know, from the person or the customer who's buying the products, is to get them to change their mindset that buying local is going to benefit not just the person selling it, because so often people think that if they buy from you, they're going to enrich you, and you're going to be better off. But if you look at the bigger picture, you're actually creating more jobs, you're saving the economy, you are doing so many things that can contribute to where business can go in the future of South Africa.
And I think many business owners would definitely agree with your sentiments on that. There's definitely hope still for our country. There's no other place like it. So to speak more on the side of women empowerment, what are your comments or your thoughts on empowering women and female entrepreneurs?
I love women empowerment. I can clap for you even if I don't know you. I believe that God has created us all uniquely but special, and whatever, from the day that you were born, you were destined to have what you're having, and so no one can take it away. And I think that women are more compassionate, yet our strength is questioned when it comes to the corporate world and entrepreneurship. Even though we think with our hearts, I think that if more women were empowered through education and skills and financially, we would have less poverty and a stronger economy.
Mm. Yeah, I can definitely agree with you. I work on a team with mostly women, and there's just this next level sense of camaraderie because we all have that heart, and we feel so motivated in empowering each other, which is an amazing culture to be working in. So is there anything else that you're most passionate about that you would like to speak on?
I'm a social entrepreneur by heart. And like I said just now, I'm very passionate about empowering and motivating women. Knowing people often ask me, what makes me tick? What makes me get out of bed in the morning? And for me, knowing that I have contributed to changing someone's life for the better, and because of me, that girl or woman didn't give up. Because I also believe that every woman has the right to opportunities, irrespective of her financial status. I just think that we are stronger than what we give ourselves credit for sometimes, and if we work together, I think that we could be a force to be reckoned with.
Definitely, that's incredible, and that's the exact reason that I wanted to speak to you today and get your voice on all this. So my last thing, just two fun questions to end things off. My first question is, what 3 guests, alive or who may have passed, would you invite to a dinner party and why?
I love that question. The first one would obviously be my mom. Because I would want to share my accomplishments with her, and I wanted her to celebrate her legacy. And the second person would be Angelina Jolie, because once again, I love being around women or people who shows empathy and who don't forget where and how they got to where they are today. The third person would be Victoria Beckham. We have a lot in common. Well, that's in my head. We started our careers in a completely different industry and ended up in the fashion world. And we can talk about our supportive family, our husbands and our kids, because Victoria Beckham also, before she started her fashion line, she was a singer in the Spice Girls. And I think that these 3 women can complement my dinner.
Yeah, what an interesting dinner party that would be. I would love to be a fly on the wall for those conversations. It would be incredible. And then my final question for you. So if you could be cast in a movie of your choice, what movie would it be? And which character would you act out as?
I would want to be in The Devil Wears Prada, obviously as Miranda Priestley or Meryl Streep. And besides the strong, motivated career woman she plays in this movie, it also demonstrates the importance of having a strong, supportive system at home, because that could also affect behavior at work towards your co-workers. When you watch that movie, besides her, being this bossy person, there's also a story behind the movie or the script.
And what a fitting role that would be for you, your line of work, everything. So yeah, those were all my questions. I would just like to thank you so much for joining me in this conversation today, sharing more about you, your business, your foundation, and voicing your advice and opinions on empowering women in business. This has been an incredible conversation. You've given us so much, and I'll be sharing your details so that our audience can check you out. And yeah, I've just enjoyed this so much, and I'm sure others will too. So thank you so very much again.